there was literally like 8 signs going, bears, don't go here. Bears are coming.
There be bears.
Bears will eat your face.
Bears be theirs.
And he was like, is this okay, Chris? I was like, yeah, it'll be unbearable.
Wow.
Hello and welcome to the Abroad in Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broad, and we're joined as always by England's top Japan enthusiast himself, Mr. Pete Donaldson. Pete, how the devil are you doing?
I'm good. I feel in my bones that I'm a little bit better than you.
What do you mean what?
Feeling better than you. I'm not a little bit better than you. I mean, by every metric going.
Well, I'm a little bit
You're younger. A little bit hungover.
A little bit
I
hungover.
could tell there was something in the water. What did you do? What did you get up to? What did you drink? Did you have some skooma? Did you have some absinthe?
What did I have? I don't know. I had some the fact that I can't remember what I drank is a little bit worrying.
Yes.
What mostly vodka. It was a celebration. The last 3 days have been relentless, Pete. I've been in an audio booth.
Yeah.
From 9 till 5, 3 days in a row, going, in Japan, as I walked through the rice field, I realised how lucky I was.
How much recording have you done? Like, how many hours have you done? Like 7 hours a day? It's a long old slog.
Well, I think it must be like 18 hours. And, I realised that a lot of my pronunciation on certain words is stuffed. And it was really annoying because it's really hard to unlearn a word.
Yeah.
Like communal.
Communal, yeah.
I was saying communal.
Right. Is that not...
Yeah,
did they
communal
want you to change it?
and prefecture instead of prefecture. Because I've got a lot of American English in my vocabulary
That's
now.
outrageous. That's how you talk.
It is.
You've been out of the country for 10
but
years.
you can't have like a mixed dialect of dialect of British
Words
American
are my
English.
tools. Well,
Yeah.
is it? I mean, because I seem to recall when we did the audiobook for our book, like there were no.
Well, yeah, but you're a lost cause. You're from Hartlepool. Oh, fuck this! I just give up with this guy.
But I think the guy they probably sort of said we're not going to bother picking you up on anything because, to be honest, you keep stumbling over the word you wrote anyway. Well, I'm sorry to hit that you had so many mispronunciations. I always have a problem with emergency. Whenever I do a voiceover and the word emergency comes out, I just have to really think about how I'm saying it. It's absolutely bizarre.
What do you say?
I just sort of go.
You did say emergency.
Emergency. Yeah, the j just really throws me. I don't know what it is about my mouth. Just cannot form the word emergency. Emergency.
There's been an emergency. Thank God no one's getting
That's
murdered.
why I got fired from the New York Fire Department.
Can you imagine? What is it, Pete? What's wrong? Emergency. Fuck yeah. But like, no, it's weird. The guy I was in the booth with, he's a really nice audio dude who sat with me for 3 days. And every time
Very intense relationship, I find.
Yeah. And he was quite a really nice guy, but quite focused. And every time I fucked up, he'd be like, prefecture, not prefecture, Chris. And I'd be like, communal prefecture. And it'd be just a nightmare. And like I was like, who was the last guy in the booth then? He was like, we had actor Brian Cox in here.
Right, okay.
And I was like, brilliant. You've gone from Brian Cox's like soft, soothing voice to me going, Chapter 5, Mr. Dick.
The time I was sick in Condom Mania.
Yeah, a bit of a step down from Succession legend.
Fuck off. You should have given him a fuck off.
Logan Roy himself.
Oh,
God
wow.
damn it. Always missing the celebrities.
So how much have you recorded of the book at this point in time? Bearing in mind we're recording it a little
All
bit
of
in
it.
advance. Oh, you done it all?
3 days.
Hey, that's great.
Bashed it out.
Well done, mate.
That was shit.
That
Do
was
that again. Hey.
I just want to get your dirty old hangover sweat on me. You're really sweaty.
That vodka and despair. It was fun, though.
Wow.
It was fun. And I tried to do some voices, and then he was like, no, don't do that. And
Don't do that.
Like
Yes.
for Japanese voices, I'd be like, it is so good to meet you, Chris-san.
Right.
Welcome to Japan.
Yeah.
I sort of did that rather than...
He's protecting you from yourself.
It is very good to meet you, Chris-san. Like, you don't want to do that.
Like you do, yeah.
And I tried to do some American accents, but one of the characters was from New Jersey, and I did like a generic American accent.
Generic Bon Jovi accent.
And he was like, don't do that.
Forget about it.
Yeah, Rocky. And he was like, if you can't do the local dialect, don't bother. I was like,
Right,
fuck.
okay.
So I just settled with... there was one
What do you
chapter...
think this is? Fucking balls? What do you think it is? A big fucking meatball? Asshole. I'm walking. I am walking here.
I did do like a mild Australian accent.
A mild Australian
There's a
accent, because we've heard on previous episodes of the show that went on the YouTube channel was your impression of an Australian.
Well, it's just Joey, isn't it? Oh, yeah, fucking hell, mate. Oh, yeah. Because I had an Australian producer-director for Cat Nation, the cat documentary.
Okay, yeah.
I was just sitting there cracking up at half this book. It was really surreal. Like, as I pet the cat with the hat on, I wondered why my life was so weird and shit. Just sitting there like, why am I reading this? Or the chapter where the school teacher was like, what did you want to become when you were a child, Chris Sensei? And I was like, I wanted to be a pirate. She was like, but why would you want to kill and rape people? You know, I'm just sitting there like, this is so weird reading
made
this
this heavy teacher person. Remember that story from the
annoying woman
podcast? But I think with something like a book reading, it does make you think, I could have written that better. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure your book is excellent.
Because
I'm sure you're very happy with it. But certainly from my perspective, when I was reading back the words that I'd written 4 months ago, it was a real kind of like, that's a honker.
Yeah, no, genuinely. Like I sort of re-scripted things on the fly to make them sound more natural and punchy. And I didn't.
Because how you would write would be different to how you said it anyway. And I know it has to be an accurate representation of what you're buying as a book for accessibility reasons, but some things just don't work read out.
Yeah, I hope I came off all right. I spoke kind of like the Queen's pronunciation, royal pronunciation, like, as I sat down on the plane and looked over the scenery. I sound like a lot more sort of upper class.
Yeah.
I'm like from working class family. If I did it in my real voice, like, I got off the plane, innit, and I looked at the toilet and I thought, I need to go now.
Right.
And like, it'd be shit. So I had to like speak proper.
Speak proper, like.
Speak the proper English.
Yeah.
But no, it was really fun. Really good experience.
And now you're hungover.
Hungover.
So you were celebrating a 3-day audiobook romp.
Exactly.
Good.
And a big old book signing in Waterstones down in Piccadilly. You know, the big boy Waterstones.
Right.
That was fun.
So that was last night?
That was a few days ago.
Right, okay.
And they had like a line of 150 people, and they walked past, and I'd be like, how you doing? What's going on? And everyone was really nice. A few people froze up because they didn't quite know what was going on.
I think when they see you, they just think, Natsuki's probably near. Natsuki's going to jump out.
Maybe like when you've seen some idiot on screen for 10 years and you're suddenly there in front of them, it must be a bit like, oh, this is weird. I suppose like when I met Ken Watanabe, it was a bit like, what the fuck is this?
What the nabe?
I thought you weren't real. I thought you were just on film.
Yeah.
As a samurai. A real man.
I really want to meet an influencer I've been following on Instagram for a few months. He's a South African bloke and he's starting to get a bit of heat because people keep taking the piss out of him. He has two loves in the world, the gym and the God, and the respecting yourself. And basically all of his kind of mantras and kind of like bits to camera, him like finishing working out in like kind of like Zubas trousers and a big baggy muscle shirt. And he basically says, all right there guys, if one of my friends comes up to me and says, do you want to come out and have fun with us at the party? I say, no, God is not there. I do not. And all this shit. And it's like, wow, you sound like not that much fun for a man who's about 20, but he's a big old hench guy. But he's very
not there.
But he's very. He's not like that. But it is exactly like that. It's kind of like,
I was impressed by your.
I don't want to have. I don't want to have cheap, unconnected sex. I want to start a relationship. I want to respect myself and I want to respect you. And it's just like, oh, you're so boring. But everyone's starting to pick him up and sort of parody him a little bit. So if I was in a Waterstones and I saw him signing his shit book, I'd be like, wow, you're so big and
God is not here.
God is
not here.
God cannot be found at the bottom of a cup. That's literally me freestyling on his style.
Unless it's Pete's Stack Official Coffee.
Thank you. Yeah. Stack Official Coffee.
Actually,
we didn't go over the Starbucks this week. We went for some disgusting...
Sloppy coffee.
Sloppy coffee.
Sloppy coffee.
Sloppy coffee.
I had a run-in with a minor celebrity, British celebrity.
Right.
Sorry for those guys that aren't in the UK and don't know. Al Murray, the pub landlord.
I'd say he's up there. I'd say he's up there as one of the biggest British celebrities. Worldwide, less so.
Not existent worldwide.
Yeah.
I didn't speak to him. He was just in the restaurant sitting behind me yesterday.
Oh.
That's what I love about London.
Were you taken out by your publisher? This sounds like you were taken up by your publisher, right?
Took myself out.
What?
I did go out. I
just sat in the ivy.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a good. It was an alright restaurant, but he was just sitting there. It was really weird because he's a comedian, quite big, and even bigger 10, 20 years ago when I used to watch him, and it was just weird. It's been like,
there he is. But that is London.
We did the classic. My friend went, I think Al Murray, the pub landlord's behind you.
Al Murray, the pub.
Bollocks. And I stood up and went to the toilet, which was thankfully beyond him. I went, oh, shit, it's him. And that was it.
He's a good lad. He's a
I
big
bet
history buff.
you've met him loads of times, haven't you?
He used to work for Absolute.
Oh.
I used to work with you.
There you go then.
Yeah, did bits and bobs.
Yeah, I'm starstruck. And Pete's like, oh, we went for coffee every morning on Thursday.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
Yes.
God damn it, Pete.
Yeah.
But no, it's cool. I like London though. Like, I think London is the celebrity capital of the world. Not just because you're here, but because when I was in LA, I was like, where are the celebrities? I want to meet them. Yeah, I want to do something good in this godforsaken city. And every restaurant I went in, they were like, nobody here.
Well,
I literally got
everyone sort of drives, and people walk around Soho. Like the amount of time, I remember sort of walking out of my house because I lived in Soho, and this fucking dickhead was making a lot of noise in the street. And I come out, it was Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot?
Rami Malek.
Rami Malek?
He was just shouting, like being an idiot with his friend. And I was like, fuck, that guy's fucking shut. Oh, it's Mr. Robot. I think he's going to be playing Freddie Mercury soon. But Bill Nye's a really good spot. You see Bill Nye all of the time.
He was in the audio booth 2 weeks or 3 weeks before me.
Well, there you go. Well, he is very much. He's very much Mr. Soho. He's always just sort of like, oh, hello, I'm just sort of walking around Soho, and I think he loves being spotted because he just spends all of his time in Soho, just pottering around. There's so many voiceovers you can do in a day, for crying out loud.
I remember when I was in LA though, I was going in restaurants, being like, "Come on, then." He was the most famous person. They're like, "We can't tell you, sir." I was like, "Go on." They're like, "All right." Tom and Zendaya were here yesterday. I was like, "Tom Holland." Oh wow.
Tom Zendaya.
Tom, Zendaya and Tom. And I went in the restaurant around the corner, and I was like, "Come on, then. Who's the most famous people in here?" And they're like, "We can't tell you, sir." I was like, "Go on." All right. And they're like, "We had the entire Marvel cast in here."
Right.
Okay, all the
nice.
Marvel, like Samuel Jackson and
they were all
the Chris
probably
Hemsworth.
The first time they met each other. So I do so much green screen work.
That's true, yes. And then I came over the next week to the UK. So it was Christmas time, and did the performance on stage with Pete and Natski, which you were there, and they were like, "Oh,
I was also on stage as well. I mean, I don't know what
you were there. I think you were there."
This is like when
forgotten you conveniently.
This is like when who did Man on the Moon, the film? Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was on Norm Macdonald's show, I think, and Norm Macdonald was chatting to him, and Jim Carrey said, it was great. I remember you came to Man on the Moon to the set to visit, and he went, "Yeah." I mean, I was in the film, Jim.
Oh my God,
good stuff.
But like, yeah, I mean, I was on stage with that place, and they were like, "Oh yeah, Daniel Craig was here last week, and Tom Hanks." Wow, I missed him again. When am I going to run into someone? I'm always like 1 minute away from fucking seeing someone cool. But anyway, I don't want to give this impression that I just run around looking for celebrities all day.
No,
but it would be nice.
Pac-Man, but like instead of celebrities.
Well, like
pills. No. Instead of pills, celebrities. Instead of celebrities, he just takes pills.
When I was doing the Ken Watanabe chapter yesterday, and I was reading through it, I reminded myself how many fucking near misses, how many times I missed him over the years. How like I went to his restaurant to interview him, and the restaurant had been like, we fucked up the days. He's not here. And then I had friends trolling me in London, like, we just met him outside a theatre.
Yeah, because he was where we would do. I think where we first met at Absolute Radio, he was round the corner doing The King and I.
I mean, and it took like 10 years to actually run into him, and it took a lot of effort.
Well,
it's like, God damn it, why can't I just run into celebrities? But then if I did, I don't know what I'd do.
No,
it's really
wet yourself probably. You'd probably be hungover.
Oh, fuck.
Probably have a little cry.
Will
you hold me?
It's not fucking
Ken
hard.
Watanabe.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's one of the things, isn't it? If you met a celebrity, what would you do?
What would you do?
I like you in the show you did, innit?
I think people sort of do get it wrong sometimes, don't they? I mean, they just do, bless them. But I've always been of the opinion that you've seen them, you don't need to bother them. I've never like I've stood next to like some of my biggest heroes. You know,
sat next to me, mate.
Yeah, Alan Shearer's and that. Yeah, well, you know, you're there. But yeah, like I just never think it's only going to be bad. It's only going to be bad.
It's interesting though. Like
I just don't have heroes.
No, and I have people I respect and love, but I wouldn't want to meet Stephen Fry, for example. He's awesome. I don't know if I met him, I'd be like, oh yeah, I love the book Mythos. It was fantastic, great listening.
Got the Groucho most nights and then
down the road.
But
that's the thing, like when you meet these folks, and that's with Ken Watanabe. I felt like I met him, and it was cool. But I was also like, I'd like to work with him. I'd actually like to do a film. That would be cool, working in context, right, with a celebrity, like actually an actor working with him in that context. Yeah, just see them being like, oh yeah, I love the film. And
do you remember there was that kind of? Do you remember there was that vogue of putting YouTubers in like Hollywood films and stuff? And as soon as they do that in comedy films or whatever, there was a real trend of doing that. And as soon as you do that, it massively dates the film. because a lot of YouTubers burn bright for a couple of years, don't they? And they disappear.
But some last longer.
Some last longer.
10 years in Japan.
Stick around like limpets.
We've got a story this week from Jonathan from Toronto. Is he a celebrity? Hi, Chris and Pete. On my recent trip to Japan, I decided to rent a K car in Gunma with the main goal of visiting Mount Haruna, one of the locations in which the manga anime Initial D takes place. Initial D is the drifting series. They drift around mountains and crash into things. At the top of the mountain pass area is a beautiful caldera lake with many other activities and attractions. I noticed a torii gate on the side of the road that seemed to lead to a shrine. I figured I'd be adventurous and go to a place that is quite literally, off the beaten path. At first, the trek was easy, mostly a dirt road with some incline through some trees and grass, along with some smaller torii gates that led the way. Eventually, the dirt path turned into stairs, then more haphazardly placed stone steps. The worst was when I encountered steep rocky hills with chains and rusty metal ladders. Literally, it was at this moment he knew he'd fucked up kind of situation. The gravestones that I passed by did not help either. Seeing that there was no one else around, I realised the dangers of doing this trek alone. As a safety precaution, I sent a message to a friend living in Japan along with my location, just in case I didn't reply back to say that I made it safely. There were a few times I considered turning back to the danger due to the danger and how tired I was, but I pressed on. Eventually, I was treated to a beautiful view of the area and an unmanned shrine that I paid my respects at. Afterwards, I made it back down without any injuries, other than very sore legs. Thanks for the work on the podcast. All the best, guys. Jonathan from Toronto. A sort of meditative story there about the risk and rewards. I mean, it's a story where nothing happens, but it's nice. And it actually, I can relate to this many times. You see like a cool little pathway in a forest in the middle of nowhere. And you kind of go, that'd be lovely. That'd be lovely. But there could be bears and boars and death and hornets.
Bears and boars and babies.
And, it's like, what? You
boys and berries.
Well, in the UK, you don't have to think about that.
No. The worst we're going to get is a badger, and they are quite hard to find at the best of times.
I can take them on.
One was running down my street. They're right apex predator. They kill everything.
You just reminded me of one word I fucked up on the audio
Badger.
book. No. Macaque is macaque.
Macaque.
It's macaque.
Oh, piss off.
And I was like, no, it's not. It's macaque. He was like, you've got to say macaque. I was like, no.
Suck my cock.
Macaques in the communal prefecture. Oh, I did my head in that audio book.
Yeah.
But it's a lovely story. Like, go and do these things. Go and see the nice spot. A friend of mine, Dave, who came over to Japan last Christmas, and we went for a walk up a mountain. It was a beautiful. There was literally like 8 signs going, bears. Don't go here. Bears are coming.
There be bears.
Bears will eat your face.
Bears be theirs.
And he was like, is this okay, Chris? I was like, yeah, it'll be unbearable.
Why does everybody livestock talk like that? Hello.
Oh, Chris will be all right. And we went up the mountain, and it was lovely. But there was again, it was like
threat of bears.
Threat of bears.
Threat of bears.
But you got to do it. But I'm glad Jonathan from Toronto got a lovely little view.
I was in I was in somewhere. It might have been actually Kofu, where that football team I like. Kofu. And what have they got against Fs? The Japanese Kofu.
Kofu. The F sound. You sort of whisper the hu. It's like almost like blowing air out. Hu.
Yeah. Well, Vent Forêt is Vent Forêt is the football team,
right?
Which presumably is Windy Forest. So it sounds like but I was walking into like a kind of it's just like a clearing basically. An old lady was in front of me, and I was like, you know what, I'll just follow that old lady, see where she's off to. And then about halfway, and I was just taking pictures of, and I was like, I have just followed an old lady. I can't be doing this kind of caper.
You shady rascal.
I'm going to get a terrible reputation.
Shady boy.
Oy.
But speaking of the sound, this week's news story.
Right. How are you going to link this? Oh, nice.
Fukushima.
Beautiful.
But unfortunately not so nice.
They're fucking up the water. Well, I mean, the main kind of like, so obviously we're recording this a few days in advance. So by the time you see this, we may all be poisoned. But Fukushima, since the disaster and the Tohoku earthquake, they've obviously been storing a lot of water that had been pumped out of the power plant facility, the radioactive facility. And this week, under the UN nuclear watchdogs pretty intense stare, you would say.
It's
Japan has started.
It's not Barry from the pub.
It's
looking,
not. It's not.
release
Yeah,
that
yeah,
water."
that sounds fine. They've started releasing radioactive water into the sea. It's the sort of sentence. What?
Well, it's treated radioactive water.
All right.
Only containing tritium.
Exactly.
If we're
So-
to believe, what they're doing.
So this was signed off 2 years ago by the Japanese government. It's been, approved by UN Nuclear Watchdog. The discharge is a key step in a pretty long, laborious process of decommissioning the Fukushima plant. It's something that had to take place. There's just a lot of radioactive water kicking around, and as of now, they've just been storing it on land.
It's bonkers,
and it's kind of untenable, or is it? Right? Thames Water loses.
Put it in an Evian bottle.
Thames Water loses
God.
about the amount of water they've got to get rid of over 30 years or something. They lose it every day. So
Yeah.
surely they could just keep hold of it for
the
a
irony,
little
isn't
bit
it?
longer.
And I know, you're not supposed to swim in much of the British sea at the moment because they're releasing waste
Yeah.
into the sea.
Yeah,
So
record profits, putting shit in the water.
Probably worse than Fukushima in some respects.
Oh yeah, I mean, so this process is going to take 30 years, and
Yeah.
it's worth. It's not palatable. It's not great, and obviously people are up in arms about it. There are protests the length and breadth of Japan, China. This week announced an immediate ban on all seafood imports from Japan, which is a huge deal. Like financially,
No, it
that
is,
is a huge deal.
Absolutely is.
Like Brexit-esque kind of size deal. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one pans out. But this kind of needs to be done, I suppose. And you can dislike it all you like, but it's something that presumably needs to happen sooner rather than later.
It's one of those things. I mean, Shinzo Abe, the prime minister for many years, he sort of kicked it down the curb. We'll deal with that later. We'll deal with that later. And then when he was replaced, and
The curbs started approaching.
well,
Yeah.
the sheer numbers involved with this are mind-boggling. 1,000 tanks of water filled with 1.37 million tons of this water. They've got to put it through the reactor and sort of cool down the reactor and then release it into the sea. But
Yeah.
I think they released 460 tons today. So little bit of a way to go. As you say, 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a little, and presumably by that point there'll be even more water.
And this is the thing, they're still using it and passing the water through to keep it cool. I mean, if you look at Fukushima Daiichi nuclear facility on Google Earth or Maps, you can see how many of these barrels are just, 1,000, are dotted around the reactor.
Yeah.
It's quite a visually compelling thing to stare at.
Right.
And the water's being sent out 1 kilometre into the Pacific Ocean. So they've got like a tunnel, a tube, and it comes out there, and you don't want to be at the end of that.
Oh, why did I think they would have go out with a ship?
Ship. What, you mean like release it even further out? You mean?
Yeah, could they not just take a few barrels? Because since they're releasing it so slowly.
I guess there's
Pop off
less
the
risk
Pacific?
of the water going all over the place.
Yeah,
and whatever.
I mean, I would say
it's not a hose pipe, Pete. You're not fucking Hartlepool front
probably
garden. Like
They've probably
Jesus.
thought about this. But the U.S. ambassador to Japan is
Yes.
Rahm Emanuel. Will be visiting a city in Fukushima later this month.
Yes.
And he has got plans to eat fish from the area to show support for Tokyo's decision to release radioactive water from the nuclear plant into the sea.
He's got so the place he's going to is called Soma, and it's just south of Sendai, actually, on the border of Fukushima and Miyagi. This is another thing I talked about in my book. How in Miyagi, which is the prefecture bordering North Fukushima, they're only like 100 kilometers from it. But they're sort of like, it's their problem over there.
Right.
It's like
It's
radiation has no borders.
That's
Like
not gonna come
depending on the
back
current
on.
and
Yeah.
the sea, it can go anywhere. Whatever's going on here. But yeah, Rahm Emanuel's going to eat some fish
It
and
reminds
prove
me
that it can't be bad.
It reminds me very much of the MP who made his daughter eat a beef burger in the middle of
He did,
Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease, CJD mania back in the day.
But there was a story like last month. I can't remember if we covered it or not, where some fish was found off the coastline with something like 180 times the normal levels of cesium.
Yeah, but
Which is never
is that
good.
related, or is that just bad?
I think it's probably
Is it
pretty
related? Right.
I think it's pretty related.
Okay.
But this is the thing. Like, I really, it's a horrible subject. I was talking to Ryotaro about it. I was like, "What do you think, Ryotaro?" And he's like, "Well, look, and they are diluting it. I think it was 40 times less, diluted 40 times more than usual with most nuclear reactors, because most nuclear reactors release the treated water into the sea with traces of tritium, which is really difficult to remove. So they're still diluting it more than a normal nuclear reactor would. Take precautions, but we're talking over 1 million tons of this stuff, so they've got quite a way to go. And I feel, of course, most for the fishermen who are affected by this in Fukushima. I think Fukushima's fish is a fifth of what it was before the disaster in 2011 now. Decimated livelihoods and lives up and down the coastline. And, I talked about it before, how I got offered a job to promote Fukushima. And I love it. It's an amazing place, Fukushima. I'll have to take you when you come over next time. And most of the prefecture's in the mountains, unaffected by this. It's just that narrow strip of coastline, right, that's been buggered by this, and all the fishermen. And they really wanted me to eat some of the fish from along the coastline, from cities like Iwaki, maybe even Soma. And I was like, I can't, in good faith. I do not know what's going into the sea. I know that TEPCO's we've treated the water, but TEPCO have sort of not spun the they've sort of spun the truth in creative ways, shall we say, over the time. And even I had a meeting with TEPCO once years ago, and they were when they were doing the push to sort of promote what they were doing and the recovery, and they invited me in. They were like, would you like to come to the reactor and film a vlog? I was like, day in the life in the fucking nuclear reactor. Nuclear reactor. God. And I was like, I don't want to be seen as propaganda. So I didn't do that. And I turned down this opportunity to talk about the food of Fukushima as a whole, because I was like, I cannot go and promote the seafood. I really, I feel so bad for the fishermen, but I don't know if it is wise to take fish from the sea around that specific region.
Yeah,
I understand the water's going to be diluted in the Pacific Ocean, but it could still build up in certain areas. I'm not an expert on this, of course.
You just hope that the risk-averse Japanese would, bearing in mind that they have the eyes of the world on them, and they obviously don't want to poison their own people. I mean, they that's all right. You just don't know how deep it goes, do you? I suppose you want to be able to trust a government that by and large does have doesn't want to be in the pocket of, it doesn't want to be poisoning their people, because that's just going to have a knock-on effect, whatever the PR is further down the line with the health service. So I don't know, man. But I grew up from next door to a power plant that was pumping out warm water into the sea.
Look at how
I turned out. There was always this bloke who used to go fishing. They used to go to my dad's pub, and he would specifically go up near the power station because there was warm water being pumped out, and the fish were nice and big. And my dad was like, "Oh, he's an idiot. That guy's an idiot."
But I mean, China's blanket ban. This is what's interesting. I mean, I think China and Korea had a ban on Fukushima fish,
right?
But now China's got a ban against all of Japanese fish. Japan's a big country with lots of seas, the Sea of Japan, the North, the Okhotsk, Sea of Okhotsk, and so $600 million of trade last year of fish being sent to China.
Yeah,
and it's weird. It's kind of pointless to do a whole blanket ban, because certain aspect, the Sea of Japan's the other side of Japan. It's not going to be affected by this per se.
If you poo in a pool once, it's going to be known as the poo pool.
Yeah, I mean, that's yeah, true. So, but it's kind of I don't know. I feel like China and Korea are using this for sort of political purposes. China's seas aren't exactly the nicest seas on earth.
No.
They can't really talk. Rahm Emanuel himself, the ambassador from the US, sort of said that China's no high ground here.
Good God, no.
The country that's
imagine what they're pumping
polluting. Back a few months ago, the air was yellow because a lot of contaminated air came over from China, and there was yellow dust and all the cars and all across Japan coming over. That probably did a lot more bloody damage than this will. So, yeah, it kind of gives them a little bit of a moral high ground here. Well, you're releasing the radioactive water. We're better than you. But, their sea is fucked, for lack of a better word.
There's always a play. A play.
Definitely political, real shame. But we have to look at both sides of it here. It's not good. I don't think they really had any other option. You can't just freeze the water and just leave it in the ground. It's not safe in plastic barrels that are going to degrade anyway. I don't see what else they could have done, given that the deactivation is going to take 30 years. So, yeah, it's a nasty old story. But let us know what you think, guys. Let us know in the comments below. Now that we've got on YouTube, let us know. We can read your comments and send us your thoughts on abroadjapanpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back in just a moment with your stories, comments, and questions in the fax machine.
Wow.
And we're back with the fax machine. What do we got this week, Mr. Donaldson?
Oh, we'll bash through these nice and quick. Steve in Chicago says, Crispy Chris and Peppy Pete's. Besides fried chicken, what are your favourite non-Japanese style foods that you look forward to when you're in Japan or travelling abroad? Do you have a favourite restaurant when you're in the UK?
Me?
What do you sort of gravitate towards? A nice bit of KFC? I guess you got KFC out there, haven't you?
I've had fish and chips.
Fish
I've
and
had a
chips.
pie.
Did you see those? I think they were influencers. They went to Britain.
Influencers.
They went to Britain and they went to the UK and they thought the fish and chips was just like they had like a can of sardines
Oh,
and some crisps.
what the
Like
fuck?
ready salted crisp and a can of sardines. And
No.
I was like, I mean, technically, similar sort of taste, I suppose.
No, no.
They were like, the guy was like, don't hit, don't hit, don't hit. And he's like, nom, nom. He was like, it's not too bad.
I've had so much bacon since being back. The bacon is
Yeah,
next level.
okay.
I've had fried breakfast. I've had pies. I've had a big meat pie sausage roll thing. Oh, it's great. I
Desperate
think I've
Dan.
put on 4 kilograms in the last 3 weeks. But
Suet, just pure suet.
people are like ask, Chris, do you miss it when you're in Japan? Like, no, because if I,
No,
if I ate like I did in Japan, like I do when I'm here, I wouldn't be here much longer.
A lot of
So-
gravy. A lot
Yeah.
of gravy down here.
We got a story from a question from Karen who says, guys, do you think it's worth to go skiing in Japan for the first time? My girlfriend and I will be going to Japan for the first time in January, and we want to at least try skiing there. Also, if you have any winter must-visit places, that would be appreciated, Corinne. I've been skiing in Niseko, which is the most spectacular place ever. It's so nice. The powdery snow in Hokkaido. My God, it's expensive. Get ready to spend all your money. But the snow is like the best quality on earth. Like people always comment like next level snow. And it's great. I'd
Yeah.
ski in Japan for sure.
I've never skied. I would very much
Oh,
like
no.
to try. The one, I think I've spoken about this before, but the one time I could have gone to the dry ski slope near my house in Hartlepool, I had a violin exam. So didn't even pass.
what?
Didn't even pass grade 1.
A violin.
A violin exam.
You could have been in the London Philharmonic
Could have
Orchestra.
been in the my heart was set on skiing. Clearly, that's why I didn't become.
Skiing with his violin.
Yeah,
Japan in winter's amazing. It really is. Cold and snowy for sure on the east-north side. But
schnapps.
what's that?
That's what you drink on the piste.
The
don't
alcohol.
you?
Of course
Yeah.
there's alcohol.
Of course there's alcohol.
Getting drunk on his violin and ice schnapps. Hokkaido, cracking good place in winter. Go to the snow festival. Have a look around.
Nice.
Build a snowman. We've got one last question from. No, I think it's a good suggestion. Question from Sarah from Bristol, who says, "Hello, Chris and Pete. I was also wondering about dialects. Will it be harder to navigate in areas where different words are spoken? My Japanese isn't too bad, but I think it's a bit more daunting thinking about it, as I'm going myself and I'll be in the middle of nowhere some places. Wish me luck, Sarah from Bristol."
Oh, what a dream!
I mean,
Sarah from Bristol.
Sarah
I mean,
from
good
Bristol.
good on you for plumbing learning a bit.
I
'cause
wonder where she's going.
I haven't got a bloody clue.
Dialects, I still don't really know much dialect stuff in Japan. Most people just learn Tokyo Japanese.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some cool words. Like the local word, I think that means thank you in Yamagata was mokedana.
Mokedana.
Mokedana. Mokedana or
Mokedana.
something.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
And-
weird, isn't it? And there was quite a few. Remember, we were in America Muda in
Yeah.
Osaka, and those
I was going to bring that up.
Osakan teenagers were teaching us a bit.
Oh, they talk like Nanishtana and
Yeah.
things like that. But yeah, like honestly, you're going to be fine. The only places you might have to worry about are rural areas where people are very old because you just don't know what's going
Yeah.
on.
God,
It's
they might not
like-
be able to hear you anyway. They're old.
Yeah, I find it's more about age and less to do with dialect and location.
Right. Okay.
So bear that in mind.
Cool.
But have a great time, Sarah. Let us know where you're going. I'm curious.
Yes, please.
More importantly, keep the stories, questions, comments coming into bornjapanpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be back later in the guys.
Later in the guys.
Too much alcohol. We'll be back later in the week, guys. Do it over again, but for now, no matter where you might be, out in the big wide world, have yourself a great few days, and see you right back here to do it all over again on the Abroad Japan podcast. Bye for now.
Ta-ta.